This is the Heart of Singing podcast, the place where passionate singers and vocal coaches of many different styles will share their passion about the wonderful art of singing and making a career with their voices. I'm your host, Henry Kershini. Now, let's get started. So, hello everybody, and welcome to episode 2 of the Heart of Singing podcast. I am Henry Kershini, your host. I'm very happy to keep doing this podcast. I'm very glad for the feedback I have gotten so far for the first episode, which is actually an introduction episode where I talk about myself. So, the fact that somebody found it interesting, it's great to me. But starting today, there will be a new guest on every episode. That's my goal. And today I have a very special guest. The very first one is Leslie Hunt. She is the singer of the progressive rock band District 97, but she's also a very accomplished solo singer and songwriter. I was very glad that she agreed to do the interview very quickly and we could arrange an appointment despite the time differences. And it was really cool talking to her about her career, about her discipline as a singer, the kind of stuff that she does to keep her voice in shape, and about many things in general, inspiration, and so on and so on. I first met Leslie in 2013 when she played with District 97 here in Germany. And I went to see them, and I got to interview her back then for another medium I was working for a very short time, and it was cool that we have kept in touch more or less during the years, and it was very nice of her to just agree and come to the podcast. So I won't give any more introduction. I leave you now with the interview with Leslie Hunt. Enjoy it. So I'm here with Leslie Hunt. Hi, Leslie.
Hi, Henry. Thanks for having me.
I'm very excited about having you, about you being the very first guest of this new podcast, The Heart of Singing. I thought, well, who could be better to talk about the heart of singing than somebody who is so passionate about it like yourself?
Indeed. Thank you very much. I'm honored to be the first guest.
Yeah, thanks. Well, many people know you from that stint with American Idol. You know, back in which year was that? 2009?
2007.
2007. Okay.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so
yeah.
it was top 20 in 2007.
Top 20.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I couldn't watch that because that was American Idol, and I wasn't in the US. I don't live in the US, so I couldn't see it. But I know many people know you from that time, and talent shows are kind of a polarizing thing, right? Many people think it's an opportunity, and for many it's not. How do you look back at this time?
I think it was very much an opportunity. It was an opportunity to grow and sort of look at a giant mirror in my face to say, these are the things you're doing well. These are the things that aren't really coming across well on camera. You know, here's a list of things that you should be focused on, you know, if you want to really do this. So I would say I learned a lot from that experience, and definitely learned that it's something that I wanted to pursue. I always knew, but I didn't know. It made me more hungry, I guess.
Okay. And you have been hungry since a very early age, right? I mean, I read on your website that you started singing at age 4.
Definitely. I started singing it when I started speaking, you know, so I lived in a house with musicians and, you know, band practice and music lessons happening. And, you know, so just lots and lots of music every single day. And singing was just a part of my family. So I have many singers in my family, aunts, uncles, cousins, both my parents, and yeah, so it felt very natural. And my dad got me into piano lessons when I was 4.
Okay, I wanted to ask you about it. It's good that you tell me, because not everyone grows up with encouraging parents when it comes to music. I think we all sing. It's a natural thing to do.
Right.
as a child, and then some parents are not so encouraging, but that's not your case. Very
Yeah.
happy
Oh,
to hear
yeah.
that.
Yeah. I was very much encouraged to sing. My dad recognized also that I had like perfect pitch as a kid and, still do. And so he worked with me all the time on that. I would just kind of be like, what's this? And sing a note. And I was able to sometimes, get it right. But my daughter is actually has that more than I do. Like
Oh, amazing.
she's instant. Yeah. So if I just play something on the piano, she's like G sharp. It's like it's as recognizable for her as a color. It's really cool.
Amazing. That's a gift I don't have.
Yeah,
Many singers don't have.
mine's not that big either. So mine's I have to think about it a little bit and be like, and find the pitch.
So we could say that your dad was your first vocal coach.
No, my mom
Oh, your
was,
mom.
because my mom is definitely more of the singer. She studied voice in college and taught voice lessons in my living room and that kind of stuff. But my dad was like he kind of like drilled me more. You know what I mean? Like he would, quiz me and, get tapes at the library and, put in the tape and help me start recognizing pitches as colors, and that was actually pretty helpful.
Okay, and after that, did you receive any formal instruction?
Yeah, I did. As well, I did take some voice lessons in high school, but not a lot. I think more of my vocal training happened later, like after college, when I was working as a professional vocalist, and I found myself getting hoarse pretty often.
Hmm.
So I needed to get some tips on how to sing properly and kind of learn about the mechanics of the voice and what not to do. So I think I
Right.
just used to just like, oh, I'm a little hoarse, I'm just going to sing harder. And so now it helps me that I actually suffered several vocal injuries in my life and had to kind of rehabilitate. And so it helps
Mm.
me as a vocal teacher now. I have students of my own,
Ah,
and
okay, good.
I'm helping like teenagers and uh, even kids younger than teenagers, like helping them to learn about their voice and how to take really good care of it, because I nobody taught me that when I was younger. So
Yes.
I just made things worse.
And what kind of music were you singing back then when you noticed that you were getting hoarse often?
hmm I was in professional theater productions. So I did a year-long production of The Music Man, which is a musical, and also Fiddler on the Roof. And we did 6 shows a week, and I would just sing, sing, sing. And I was very, very nonstop extroverted, very dramatic with my voice. So I had a speech therapist teaching me how to react appropriately with my voice and not just just like scream bloody murder on the playground, all day, and then come home and be like, why can't I sing, so
And then every day as well, right? Or several
right,
times.
right, exactly. So it was good to, I guess the only really training I had as a kid was don't mess up your voice training. And then,
Well,
I did learn. I got some. I think I mainly just sing has always just been really easy for me, and so I think to some extent, until I got injured pretty badly a few years ago, I didn't take it super super seriously, like the health of the voice and the warming up and the
hmm,
avoiding of certain foods and and that those periods of rest after a gig, and even like the wind down after a gig. So now I understand that the voice is the larynx is a joint. So
right.
if yeah, so you have to, everything that I do for my joint health, because I do have lupus, and so I have, full body arthritis, and so anything that I do for my joint health applies to my voice. And now I'm realizing that it's just a very sensitive, tiny little mechanism that you can't just throw it under the bus and expect it to rock. So
Right. And many people don't even know that the vocal cords are as small as the tip of the nail, right?
Yeah, yeah, and it's more of like a valve than a chord, you know. So you think about them like when you think about a chord, you think about like a strand, but really it's just like the top of this cylinder that you have to make sure that it's closing properly, because if it isn't, that's when you get the injury. That's when you get the nodules. You get the hemorrhage is what I had.
Mm,
Now I've learned all these techniques to kind of close the vocal cords and sing from that place. Then a lot less air gets through, a lot less calluses develop in certain areas where they're just kind of like closing. I had this incredible vocal therapist named Lori Sonnenberg, and she just changed my entire approach to singing. And I'm singing better now in my late 30s than I ever
yeah.
have. Contrary to sometimes what happens with women as we get older, our voices kind of change and get lower, and it's a little harder for us to have that lift. But I've experienced the opposite because I learned how to do it.
It's the same with men. I mean, and it's a common belief that when people get older, men or women, that when they get older, the voice deteriorates, but it doesn't have to be the case. And it's a usual excuse for many to say, oh, well, I'm not singing that well anymore. Well, it's actually because you didn't take care of your voice,
Right,
right?
right. You didn't, yeah, exactly. You didn't take care of it, and add like the more you know, you can add decades of singing to your career. And I've seen it go both ways. I've seen people really thrive in advanced age singing because they're smarter now and have learned a lot of workarounds. And I've seen people just being unable to sing a note, and it's just so sad because they feel that loss. Just like, oh, I used to be able to sing, and now I
Mm.
can't. And anyway, who's got a lighter?
Right, right. Do you smoke actually?
Oh, I don't smoke.
Okay. I
Mm-mm.
mean that's one of voice killers that many singers still do.
Mhm.
The great late Freddie Mercury used to smoke a lot, but
Right.
I mean he also had a lot of problems with his voice. Many people don't know, but
Oh, he did?
yeah, he developed nodules as well.
Oh, wow. Yeah,
Yeah,
those are really hard.
but he was very much concerned with being entertaining for the audience, so he basically sacrificed his voice for the fun of being on stage and entertaining the audience. That's
I relate to
finding
that.
this balance is
Mhm.
kind of difficult. And
Mhm.
now that I mentioned Freddie Mercury, I go to the typical cliche influences question. I had elaborated it in another way, like what kind of music did you grow up listening to,
Yeah,
or the other way around? Because you are one of those singers who have a distinctive voice.
thank
I
you.
mean, when I hear you, I know it's Leslie Hunt singing, even if it's your solo stuff or if it's with District 97.
Mhm.
And then one develops one's own voice, but one still listens to many different singers. Which singers were those for you?
Yeah, so I think I was very influenced by the singer-songwriters that my mom would play, so like the Joni Mitchell and Carole King, and um, just even some of like the Broadway, like Linda Eder, or like Alison Krauss, which she's more not, I guess, not Broadway at all, but just like a wide variety of female singers. And also just there's so much musical theater. So like the my mom came to live with us for a week, and we had one night where we were just singing show tunes at the top of our lungs, and that just like that style, I feel like I'm very influenced by that. I don't have a musical theater voice, but that belt and that like those long notes and those like hair stand on ends moments,
The
of
strong
like,
vibrato, or a lot
yeah,
of
yeah,
vibrato, right?
vibrato. If I enjoy a vibrato that I can turn on and off. I don't have involuntary vibrato, so which kind of helps me sing a variety of styles, so I know when to turn it on and off, I guess. And then my dad played a lot of like Led Zeppelin and Frank Zappa and the band Chicago and all these like I would say complicated rock bands. So not necessarily prog,
Mm-hmm.
but 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 as a band, District 97 touches on some of the stuff that I gravitated towards with my dad's music, which was like, out there rock, you know? So like just
Right.
unexpected chords, unexpected time signatures, a lot of unison lines. So my dad's a free jazz musician, and he plays drums and he plays vibes, and he was in a band that toured um, called and released records called the Hal Russell Energy Ensemble, and they toured you know Finland, Switzerland, like just all over Europe, and it's very, very, very out there. So it's like mixed between like complicated like saxophone unison lines,
Hmm.
that everybody plays together. That's really crazy, and then like a huge span of just pure improv, and then coming back to the composed piece at the end. And that was hugely influential, I think, for me to like just at a young age just hear that amount of experimentation and be like, there's no limits to this, like to
That's right.
music. It doesn't have to be 3.5 minutes long. It doesn't have to, have be very organized from start to finish. But so I guess it made me really appreciate when District 97 came into my life. I was like ready for, like it felt right in my soul to be a part of that, and like find a vocal place for me in all of that dense texture.
Amazing. So the proxy was planted already at an early
I
age,
think
we could
so,
say.
yeah. And the theatrics of the band, as a front man for that band, ever front woman, I guess I should be saying.
From woman, yeah.
Front woman, whatever. It's 2021. It does give me like a theatrical outlet, to portray songs with like with that dramatic flair that I feel like was helpful in musical theater. I bring that to District 97 as well.
Hmm. Yeah,
Hmm.
you write some songs for them, but the other band members write songs as well, like
Hmm.
Jonathan. I remember this piece called "The Perfect Young Man," which is such a story that goes from beginning to end and has the peaks and
Right.
ups and downs. It's amazing. And do you feel like an actress maybe singing these
I do.
songs
I do. And so that's his MO. So that's when Jonathan single-handedly writes something and brings it to the band, and he writes the words and he writes the melodies and it's like a mini show, often. Not always. Sometimes he just writes a jammin' rocker, and we're here for it. But sometimes, Mind Scan is like a 27-minute long epic, oh, I'm sorry, knocked the microphone,
Yep.
epic piece about alien abduction. And so I get to play the role of like both the alien and the person abducted. And so there's a lot of that. But then and then and then recently we co-wrote something called Ghost Girl. So he brought it in with everything pretty much done. I was kind of inspired by a different melody that I came up with for the verse, and I changed some of the words to make it less of a um, musical feeling thing. It's kind of like a little bit more poetically worded. Um, yeah. So in other words, yes, everybody does write, and right now we're working on a ton of new music remotely. So we've got
Amazing.
really
Well, the
got some.
time we're living in,
Yeah,
right?
absolutely.
Well, I guess you're missing the touring life, right?
I am. Yeah, I just miss performing. I get emotional about it. Like last night I was organizing my kitchen and I was listening to music, and I kind of started to like dance around my house, and I was like, I don't dance anymore, because where would that's such a big part of my expression for this music. And I'm like, I don't, it's like I'm going out dancing, and I'm not doing any shows. So it feels like a big loss. I miss that, the performance end of it so much. Like it hurts.
Yeah, it's the same
Yeah.
for every musician right now, I
Right.
guess. But
Mhm.
you have done some online shows on Facebook. I've
Yeah,
seen.
yeah, I did. I did a bunch of them, and I'm gonna go back and do more. I'm kind of focused on a bunch of stuff right now that I need to do. I'm working on my second EP. The first EP is all finished, and the second one is underway at the moment. So I'm working hard on stuff, but I hope to go back and do some live shows.
Well, I hope we we all can, all musicians. I mean,
Yeah,
I'm not a touring musician like yourself, but every musician feels right now, the pain of not being able to perform live in front of an audience, an
Truly.
actual audience, right?
Mhm.
And while you are on tour, how does your routine look like? I mean, in terms of vocalizing, maybe warming up, cooling down. You mentioned some of that before, but maybe you can elaborate.
Yes, yes. So I actually feel like I've learned more about the voice since this pandemic hit because I started teaching more and more and more lessons. And so I started to see the benefits of all of these different tools that I knew I should be using every day, but maybe wasn't doing it so religiously or so routinely. So I think our next tour, I'll be even more diligent about certain things now that I've seen how some of my students have responded to like just a regular, check in on this and this and this and this. So basically what I believe is important is you start with the bones. So I start out by kind of, stretching the spine, making
Yes.
all that stuff kind of pop. I kind of like, collapse down and then hang and then let everything kind of pop and then kind of pile it all back up. I do some like, kind of bone stretches like this where I feel like I'm just making all this space and
Yes.
also kind of releasing the tension. If there is tension in the neck and in the shoulders, those muscles can get involved in the mechanisms of singing and kind of start pulling the vocal cords apart, and kind of overdoing it, kind of just getting involved where they're not supposed to be if there's any tension. So you release that tension and I do a lot of tongue stretches. So I
Mhm.
stretch, like my tongue out, down all around. I do yawns with my mouth closed, which I feel like opens up the back of the throat really nice. And then I do something called straw phonation. Have you ever heard of
Ah,
that?
yes,
Oh,
I
it's the
do
best.
that too.
Oh, yeah, so it's like this kind of buzzy, resonant thing. Just it's like
Right.
when you kind of swirl around, and you can get your different registers to be one. So when I know it's going well, I can effortlessly and without like a big break go from my
Yep.
highest note to my lowest note and kind of connect them all in this like seamless tone. And this straw has saved me. So if I'm hoarse on tour, I can actually blow bubbles into a little cup of water, and it feels like I can feel the tension releasing in my voice, and it really, that counter pressure of the straw, it's just so relieving. And I don't there is studies behind it. I'm not explaining it
Yeah,
super
I
scientific
know.
right now,
So
but
the,
yeah.
the, the so-called occluded tract
Right.
technique, right? I've been using a similar device called Pocket Vox.
Uh-huh.
Um, yeah, with warm water. So the water is like not boiling, but it's massaging your vocal cords at the same time that you are singing into the tract, so to say.
Mm-hmm.
And
Right, right. So
yeah, so I put it inside the bottle,
uh-huh.
and it has marks here, how many notches I
Oh,
can use, and
cool.
then I just blow into the water.
Uh-huh. Oh
I'm
my.
I'm not getting paid to advertise this at all. I really believe in it because
Yeah,
it
because
does
you
wonders. But it's the
it
same
does.
principle.
So I mean, even if I'm teaching a lot and I feel like I'm just talking and kind of like having to talk loudly over these kids that are kind of getting distracted, if I do just a little bit of this, swirl and into the water, it's like it feels like almost like I've been given a dose of helium. You know what I mean? Where it's like, oh,
Hello.
okay, okay, just everything feels lighter. And then I like to I guess I like to glide up and down fifths, so, and I like a yee, so yee, yee, and I just kind of let everything get slack and just kind of let those notes come out very effortlessly. And that's like pretty much the extent of my warm up. But then if I know I'm doing like a big belty thing, I do like a belty warm up where it's like gug 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 gug, and just kind of get those punchy parts of my voice woken up so I'm on the stage kind of ready to go.
How long do you warm up before a show?
like 20 minutes.
Okay. And you mentioned that you also do a cool down, right? After the show.
Yeah, yeah. After the show, I tend to live about an hour away from the gigs. When I do a performance in Chicago, and I come back, I've got about an hour in the car. So I do a lot of like I kind of like rub the sides of my neck because after a long gig, I do feel like the sides of my neck are quite tight. I do those shoulder things again, and I just kind of like do just like a mini version of what I do to warm up, just to kind of, but then I do need to like be quiet. So
Okay.
I fight the urge to sing all the way home because my voice is like so warmed up and I'm just like, oh my God, I'm able to sing so well, because then you can really kind of overdo it and you wake up and you're like, I didn't need to belt that
Yeah, I
song.
should have.
I
Well,
shouldn't have done that.
that's how you do it when you're singing in Chicago or in the Chicago area. But when you're touring Europe, like when I met you 8 years
Hmm.
ago,
Hmm.
was your first tour of Europe with District 97?
Yeah,
And
that
what?
was my first as a performer. I've gone on my dad's tours, but not as an artist. I would say in that group, especially early on, we all felt young and invincible, and I didn't know much about the voice yet, and I was just trying to like hang and be cool, and just enjoy being on the road, and I mean, we're not like a crazy rock and roll lifestyle. We're like more accurately probably just like we're like nerds who rock.
Yeah.
So it's not like
Yeah,
now
that's right.
we're out doing, insane stuff, but we still, enjoy some drinks and enjoy it like talking afterwards. And I haven't been too precious. If I am in a rough place, I'll be like, bye guys, I'm gonna go to the hotel room. You guys have fun. I'm gonna zip it up until tomorrow. So
Right.
now I'm able to do that a little more. But when I was younger, I was like, oh, whatever, it's rock and roll. I'll do it. I'll do it. It is what it is. I'll just push my way through it.
Well, but that's good. You have found a routine for yourself or a sort of discipline for yourself.
Hmm.
I hope I get to see you live again
I
sometime.
know. We hope
Yeah.
so. I know.
And
It's the best when we get to come over there. They definitely love us.
yeah,
They're into the music maybe more than they are in the States.
yeah, I think so. Europe is very,
Yeah.
very much into prog.
Yeah.
And how do you approach singing with the band and singing solo? Because it's very different material, even though there have been crossovers, I know.
Hmm. Yeah. Yeah.
Like
Yeah.
songs
We've
of yours
taken
that have
some
been
back.
reworked and so on.
Right.
But do you have like a different mindset when you go on stage as Leslie Hunt?
I
How-
do, and it's actually it feels like a totally separate entity almost. So, I as a solo artist, it's I like it with the band. It's sort of I feel a little bit more anonymous, even though I am in the front because I don't write everything, and it's not all just like how Leslie Hunt feels about everything. You know what I mean? It's like I can kind of hide behind being in a band and like you know, being the singer in a band with like, and then with my solo stuff, it's like my band is kind of always changing. I'm the focal point. They're all definitely my songs. I'm usually playing an instrument, so I'm a little bit more, busy. Uh, can't do as much like freely jumping around yeah, on the stage like I do with District 97. It is a bit more introspective and vulnerable, less heroic, maybe, and yeah, just like, and the style of singing, I would say overall, it's more subdued. So for my solo stuff, I will often not use vibrato,
Mhm.
so it's just a
Okay.
little bit more pure. It's a very, very pure, honest, sincere side of myself. And then with District 97, it's a lot more bombastic and wild vibrato and jumping around and like and belting like my life depends on it. So it is different, but I'm so glad that I have both of them because I think that they're very much needed, I think, to feel like I'm fully expressing myself as a person.
Okay, let's talk a bit about these crossovers. I can think of your song "Open Your Eyes,"
Hmm.
which is very personal to you. It talks
Right.
about your deceased sister,
Hmm.
and you released it in a solo album first with a kind of contrasting upbeat
Right.
style.
Yeah. It was. It was like I feel like that song is like schizophrenic. I wanted it to cover so much ground in one song stylistically, because I just felt like that was sort of where my sister was at. It was like from one day to the next, like you weren't sure, which sister you were going to get. So, and her journey was so tumultuous. And I felt like I just wanted to write a song kind of empowering her, but also kind of encapsulating like the crazy, not calling her crazy, but
The
uh,
ups and downs, the very
the crazy making.
rapid
Yeah.
mood
And then,
changes.
yeah. And just, some of it was chemical, it was neurological, uh, but it was very much a roller coaster to be a part of. And I wanted to kind of show her, you know, the choruses were just like, now you can go where you wanted to. Like now, now that you kind of got rid of all this stuff, now you're free. Um, but unfortunately, she did not live to see that completed song on the record. So
Do you have a version that you prefer, the one with the band or your solo version?
I think I do like District 97's version better because I've performed it like that so many times. Um, and it just feels maybe a little more cohesive and less like kooky.
Mhm.
And so I haven't done a ton of performances with Open Your Eyes in the style that you hear on Your Hair Is on Fire, my solo album.
Okay.
So
Well, you
just for
have
that reason, I would say I like the District 97 one better.
that's cool.
Hmm.
And that's also a way for you to work on rough topics through your lyrics. What
Hmm.
kind of lyrical content do you actually gravitate to, and what kind of topics are people going to hear on your next solo EPs?
So yeah, I started writing again after a long dry spell of not writing for myself as a solo artist. I I started dating my now boyfriend. Actually, today marks 2 years that we've been together. So
Oh, happy anniversary!
yeah, thank
And I'm
you.
keeping you from be spending time with him.
Oh, it's
Amazing.
okay. It's okay. Well, we're gonna celebrate. We don't know how yet, but we're gonna figure something out. And he uh, something about that relationship inspired me right away to start writing. I think I wrote my first song in the first week of us being together. He's a musician. He's a fantastic musician and unbelievably gifted. Like he just knows millions of songs, and so he does acoustic performances, playing and singing. And it's almost like it's like a game where everybody in the bar tries to stump him, like what he doesn't know, and like he's really hard to stump. So because he knows just about every song. But he isn't a songwriter, so I think as a songwriter, I felt very free to express without fear of his like critique. You know what I mean? So I felt like it felt very safe to show him stuff in various stages of development, and I knew he appreciated words and sentiments of a songwriter, and so he inspired me to start writing. Um, and I wrote about beginning again, starting over, and kind of like how to do things right. Every time you need to start something over, it's kind of a chance to build it stronger this time. And there's a couple songs along those lines. I wrote, a love song, a couple love songs for him for sure. One a little bit like flipping the analogy of like the boy who cried wolf. It's called The Wolf Cried Boy, kind of for some of my more um, I guess judgmental people in my life that were
Yeah.
kind of having a hard time taking me seriously after I've been divorced twice. And I'm like, hey guys, like I'm with this amazing guy. And they're like, yeah, we've heard that before. You know what I mean? Kind of
Yeah,
thing. And
yeah. Oh
mm,
yeah, the Leslie with the new guy. Yeah, yeah.
right, right, right. And so I just wrote like a song kind of expressing that like frustration, but it is what it is. Now everybody knows Lloyd's the man, and and it's all good. So, but at first I just felt like I was like, "Well, you guys aren't, you need to welcome this. This is awesome, and you're living in the past. Get with the times." And I wrote a song about their. So the first EP was written all before COVID and before any quarantining or anything like that, and it was
Hmm.
basically just about like the sky's the limit. I named the first EP Ascend. So it's like we're sort of like, whoa, like I've got I'm in this amazing new relationship. I've got all these songs, everything's going really well. Oh my God, what's going to happen? I'm going to record them. Um, and and then now the second EP is Descend because it's like, oh, actually, we're going to just like, we got to come back down and we don't know how long we'll be on the ground. So like, let's like, I wrote all 7 songs are on the topic of, one of them is about police reform. And then the other ones are about everything that the new life, that we've all been, uh, having to cope with, just being totally isolated, but also more connected with ourselves and what's actually important maybe than we were able to be when we were all just so busy on our treadmill, and then we kind of get off of it for a second. Oh, whoa, okay, wow, I'm with my kids every night, I'm cooking, like there's all these new things. So um yeah, I'm all over the place with the subject matters, but at the same time it's like a body of work and they both belong together.
I think that will be interesting to listen to back,
Mm-hmm.
right? Like the
Yeah.
contrast. The sky's the
Right.
limit, but let's stay at home for a while.
Right, exactly. Ascend, descend, exactly. So it's like, oh, but descend is about like kind of like finding comfort in yourself and, and um yeah, just appreciating the simple things and also being okay with being powerless because, there's one song called Big White Flag, and I would imagine it might be the single on the second one, but it's just like I surrender. I'm not good at not being in control, and it's just good right now for us to do as much surrendering as we can, because otherwise we'll go crazy because
Yeah,
it's
that's
so
right.
out of our hands.
How does you mentioned your kids and your partner?
Hmm.
How does work-life balance function for you?
That's a good question, and I don't think I have it figured out yet because I have my kids 50% of the time. They're on, I'm co-parent with their dads, and so whenever I have kids, I have them both, and I have them exactly 50% of the time. And when I have them, I really have not figured out how to still make progress on my work when they're home because in my mind I'm kind of like they aren't here all the time, and so when they're here I want to like be focused on them, but it's not working actually. I need to figure out a way. It's too
Okay.
hard. Yeah, I'm like check in with me maybe when I have it figured out because right now I don't really. Right now it's like, when they're home I can barely answer an email, and I don't know why that is. I need to figure that out, but
Was lucky to catch you somehow for the
yeah.
podcast.
No,
Amazing.
it's all good. Yeah.
Do
Mhm.
you, this is also a cliche question, but I will ask it anyway. What is your advice for aspiring singers?
Oh yeah. Um, for just so I guess my advice would be catered to what kind of singing they want to do. If they're looking to like sing in a band, and sing covers and things like that, I would say learn as many songs as you can. Practice singing and videotaping yourself and dancing and make that connection with your voice and your body as soon as possible, because that's something that I didn't know until after American Idol, that I was not connected. It was like either sounding good or looking good while lip syncing, and I wasn't able to do both. So I would say, and then if it's, I guess, yeah, I would say take voice lessons, learn how to sing properly, you'll save yourself a whole heap of headache and confusion when your voice isn't working right and you've gotten some bad habits and they're really hard to unlearn, but at the same time, take your voice lessons with a grain of salt in that maintain some individuality. So I think sometimes my sound, like my unique sound, might have something to do with the fact that I didn't really have much coaching. And so maybe I did develop these like, you know, unique ways of making sound,
Yeah.
and some of them are good, and some of them I've had to kind of tweak to maintain longevity as a singer. Um, but yeah, I guess I guess it just depends because there's so many different ways to be a singer. If they're looking to be a songwriter, hone that skill. Right. There's no such thing as there's no one way to do it. So I hear something, I record it. I'm walking around. I often will hear something when I'm not expecting to be creative. If I'm like vacuuming or doing the dishes and I'm just like, oh, I hear something cool, blah, 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 and I'll sing it into my phone. And then you just kind of go through them and develop them as you're inspired. So, some people have this idea, like if I don't write every day, sit down, and I mean, some people do probably do well with that structure. For me, I'm a little bit more like the muse visits, and I try to make myself available for it, but I don't really sit down and like, come on, muse, where are you?
Yeah. These are different approaches. Yeah, I know
Right.
writers, not just songwriters, but also authors.
Mm-hmm.
There are some who have this approach, like inspiration should come when you're working, or inspiration will visit you while you're working, or it should find you while you are doing the work. So it's like
Right.
write, whatever. And there are writers who just sit down and write every day, like it's a day job.
Right. Well,
And
yeah, that's
and there
if
are
I were
others who
to
just,
do that.
yeah,
Right.
wait for the muse to come. That's
Mm-hmm.
a Well, that's an amazing advice, and I think vocal coaching should be about, like you said, like keeping that longevity, like getting proper technique, but um, helping the singer to be more himself or herself,
Mm-hmm.
right?
Right.
That they sound like themselves and not. I mean, I think, especially in rock music, the topic of taking vocal lessons is frowned upon, kind of, or,
Mm-hmm.
because people think, well, then I don't want to sound like a pop singer or an opera singer or whatever. I want to rock. Yeah.
Right. Right. Yeah. I think that there's yeah, I mean, I guess there's some merit to that because you don't want someone kind of shoving you in a different box because they hear you doing something that, well, no, sing it like this, and you're like, no, that's lame, I'm
Right.
not going to sing it like that, but I think if you're learning technique, you can apply it or not. You know what I mean? It's sort of like you don't have to use all the tools in your toolbox. You can use your favorite ones, but I think that it's best to know if you're doing something inadvertently that's harming you. That's like an indisputable, like, yes, I should be learning how to sing healthily so I can sing for a long time, because it's literally just a part of your body, and it atrophies and it gets calloused and it gets strained and it has to make a full recovery. And if you learn how to help it along the way, it can't, I don't think there's anything wrong with that. but
Right.
but I think it's important, like especially my younger students, I'm very careful with my feedback for them, because I know at a certain, everybody's a bit sensitive because it's very vulnerable to sing in front of somebody, and if all you're getting is pointers, 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 you can, like, it's such a mental thing, so you can like start to sing but be like, but I don't want to do it that way because she said that was bad, and and you can kind of like stifle
Yeah.
yourself into being a shy sounding singer with no confidence, just because someone is trying to help you but they didn't build you up enough in the process to where now you're overthinking it and all the joy is gone.
That's
So,
right.
you
Amazing.
know, yeah.
Okay. Before we go, So I will leave you to spend your anniversary with your
Right.
boyfriend.
Yeah.
Um, could you sing us a couple lines from one of your songs? I would ask you to sing "Boy Cry Wolf"
Hmm.
because I'm kind of biased. I heard it on Facebook and I liked it very much.
Thank you.
But maybe you can sing something else if you want. A
Sure, sure, sure.
couple
How,
a cappella lines, maybe.
sure. So yeah, Wolf Cried Boy. So,
Yeah, so sorry. Yeah,
yeah, no, 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 it's okay. It's okay. It's it,
the other way around.
on
Yeah,
purpose.
right.
Yeah. Okay. The wolf cried boy again, howling for all again. So hard to believe her, 'cause every time you see her, she's wearing another skin around. Uh, and there's another verse. Uh, and just think of the children dragged through it all again. Well, as the observer, you got all the answers and you're spreading your word around, making it hard for her to calm down and see what they found. Can look you in the eyes when they're rolling. Go on and roll your eyes, no one's cried, boy, more than she has. Pretty hard to be the only one alone. I'm almost done. It's been a long time coming, but he has arrived. The wolf cried, boy, for the last time.
Yeah,
I
I
didn't
can
know
see
where to get out.
the reaction here.
Thanks.
Well, now that I know the backstory, it makes even more sense.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
Yeah,
absolutely.
yeah, yeah. Nice. It's just kind of
Well,
like, yeah, talking about them, like talking about this wolf, like kind of gossiping about her, and then the
yeah,
chorus is me kind of like clapping back a little bit.
there's a very nice modulation there. No, 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 no. Like,
Yeah,
yeah,
thanks. Thanks.
cool. Well, thank you, Leslie, very, very much
Thank you,
for
Henry. Thanks for
having
having
taken the
me.
time to be the first guest of the Heart of Singing podcast. And I hope I will see you live someday again. For the time being, it will be on Facebook.
Great.
How can people find you if they're
My
interested in
website,
you?
yeah, I'm on Facebook, I'm on Instagram, all that, but my website is lesliehuntmusic.com. I'll be updating it with release information, and I'm working on a music video, and yeah, so there's some really exciting stuff coming out, and stay tuned. Be on
Right,
my mailing list. Mailing lists are great.
right. Thanks a lot, Leslie. See you.
Thanks, Henry. All right, take
Bye.
care.
So that was it. That was the interview with the great Leslie Hunt. I hope you enjoyed it. Please check her out. Check out her solo music. Check out her music with District 97. Both great, great acts. And I hope you will be there for episode 3, where I will feature a male singer. I will tease in my social networks about it, so remember to follow The Heart of Singing on Instagram or The Heart of Singing podcast on Facebook. But you can also follow me, Henry Vocalist, that's my handle, on the major social networks, and I will be posting updates about the podcast. So I hope you will be there next time, and I hope you enjoyed it. Remember to always sing your heart out. Bye.